We're waiting for that live stream to show up, if I showed up already. It usually takes, on my end, 20 seconds, 30 seconds for it to show up on YouTube before we start streaming. I know there's people on the planet that only got 30 seconds, and so we're not streaming for those type of people. We can't help those type of people who only got a 30-second attention span. They're a lost cause, and nobody can help them. They're just caught up in their own little world, and it's not their fault. You can't blame these people. Even though sometimes I'll lash out, I know. But you can't blame the people for being dysfunctional. In a dysfunctional world, I suppose, is a better way. But we don't have time for that nonsense when we have an extinction event playing out. And that is just, that goes right over people's head who listen to that. Not your fault. You can't blame these people. Even though sometimes I'll lash out. And so it'll be interesting to see how much that showed up. Rambling before the show. Okay, so we got audios. Let's keep the ball rolling. I got so many different screens going on here. I'll go to that camera for a second. Camera toe. Good morning, camera toe. Good morning, everyone. That's all working. Looks good. Okay, here we go. Let's start the show. That's what I mean. Like, if people only got a 30-second, 1 minute attention span, and you're trying to do a live show, then they can't survive that whole minute. But yet they can sit through 5 minutes of commercials on a half-an-hour sitcom every 7 minutes. They can sit for 5 minutes and wait for the next little segment of some fantasy, but don't want to hear about reality. Don't even want to try to understand when you provide the documentation as you talk. Yeah, it's quite extraordinary. I get it. That there are people like that on the planet, and we're rattling and rolling. Let's start to show off, because otherwise, the morning of March the 16th, I'm sorry, May 16th, Dina, 2016. I'm Dina Dimmerford, your host, nuclearproctologist.org, and you can find these videos and Fukushima presentations. And their presentations. And the presentation is not done in 30 seconds. I know! Just go figure out, right? That is, yeah, there's other things in the world besides self-satisfaction. The most important thing in the world, the most important thing anybody on the planet, ultimately, and everybody understands that when you get older, is understanding important subjects from different perspectives. And we talk about both perspectives all the time. That's what we do here. We're going to do some of that other perspective coming up right now. But like, think about what David Suzuki, and I got the wrong camera up, I know. Hang on, I'll get with the program. We got David, not that it matters. We got David Suzuki. That's what I mean. People haven't got past a 1 minute extent. A 1 minute attention, it's not that it's their fault. They can't see past anything. It was not all just bling, 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 Fox News with 30 people or 100 people producing a little 15-minute segment. Then their brain no longer is so fucking dented. It's so controlled. It's so acclimated to just this bling and otherwise, and they don't even absorb anything when they're watching that stuff, because Fox don't give you anything. Here's a perspective Fox will never give you. Trust me. Coming up. So let me get this straight. David Suzuki says if number 4 goes, and I'm in number 4, according to TEPCO and Seth Dorn and Miles O'Brien, who said they've been in this same building, that if this building tips over, I got no idea how that one's going to happen, but if it tips over, bye-bye Japan, and you got to evacuate North America. Huh?
I have seen a paper which says that if, in fact, the 4th plant goes under an earthquake and those rods are exposed, it's bye-bye Japan, and everybody on the west coast of North America should evacuate. Now, if that isn't terrifying, I don't know.
Well, I know what's more frightening than that, David. I know what's a lot more frightening than that. It's when a person that Canadians put all their faith and trust into doesn't bother to go to look at a picture of the reactors that he's talking about to try to appreciate what he's talking about. And what he was talking about, on the right hand side is what's Seth Dorn. That's Seth Dorn from the clips you just watched. But on your left hand side is the actual TEPCO pictures. And so David Suzuki never said this a week after the accident. He said this years after the accident. Years after that accident. So he was well aware of every picture there, including Seth Dorn's fake pictures, including TEPCO's fake pictures, including TEPCO's real pictures. And if you don't understand that side of the equation, I put out a little blurb the weekend playing around. It's not a very good clip, but it does tell a little story. It's 35 seconds. Somebody want to tell Seth I'm over here at Unit 4 waiting for him? Huh? What? He said the fake Unit 4?
This is what TEPCO wants us to see, the heart of the decommissioning work taking place here in Reactor 4.
Oh Jesus, I'm in Unit 4! I'm in Unit 4, I'm in Unit 4, I'm in Unit 4, I'm in Unit 4. Okay, it's dorky at best, but it does show the point I'm trying to make, yeah? And so I'm learning how to use software. That's my first kick at the can, and it wasn't really a kick at the can. I just thought it was cute, and I said I'll throw it up on the internet so I can look back on the day when I didn't have a clue of what I was doing compared to what is coming. And what is coming is going to be just over the top. They got no idea what I'm up to. But that's the film world for you. That's the film world trying to be creative, right? And I've been at this for a very long time, but it's more about providing you with the documentation. So all of a sudden, David Suzuki and Seth Dorn, you know, and don't roll out. Now, to put that into perspective, to put that in the really context and perspective, I should say, I got no choice but to show you, because I got too much on my computer anyway. Well, Seth Dorn, we just watched that, right? And here's the TEPCO, and in order to put the mix together, talking about inside the building we were just looking at, and TEPCO, I'm just going to squeeze ahead a little bit, and so
of the
anyway,
dismantle of the
got better and better, and then magically it looked like that.
4. Now it's about 1533.
And so the ludicrous of it is that he showed that he claims that the interior is like this. Wait for it. Not after the first year or the second year or the third year, but all the way up to the 5th year. In fact, about 7 weeks ago, at the Washington Press Club, this is where he was giving that speech with Kathleen Higley, and John Boyce, and Miles O'Brien. Literally pretending that it was the only building that survived all the reactors on the coastline. Same as Miles O'Brien done with PBS, right? And so the plumes they modeled weren't potassium-40. You'll never see it in a model from Fukushima, a model of the releases. Now this is why I say parents, pro-nuclear parents, should lose their children permanently. And we should consider, you know, sending all these people to Fukushima as a rehabilitation project for nuclear scientists and nuclear proponents. We send them to work at Fukushima for a month to help the homeless, the destitute that they kidnap off the streets, and the immigrants who don't speak the language that have ran through there. You think about these models. They're only based upon just a couple of days releases from a single reactor. None of the models, none of them. And there's lots of them. There's an incredible amount of these things. North America, bye-bye North America, was in the top left-hand corner. Right, boom. But if you really want to appreciate that, why it works that way, I'm going to bring you over to the laptop. Good morning, everybody. And hang on a second for everybody. So what I'm going to bring up on the screen here is a global circulation. And so this is British Columbia up here, and that's America, and this is Chile down here. And so what you got was, now this is not based upon radiation, this is just air currents on an hourly, based upon an hourly, and look how it comes in and bangs into your country. This is what it does all year long. But when I show you the models, like in the background, so the disposition of the fallout comes from Japan, it goes up and it gets into these air currents. Now it circulates around the planet, but it aggregates, you get strong, like the clouds are not really depicted properly. There are problems with this model. This might not be the best model, the one on your right hand side compared to the one on your left hand side. But that's the ones we got, and that's the ones we're talking about, and that's the ones we're utilizing for this little conversation. And that's all I can do. So maybe when you, oh, that didn't work out the way I wanted. Neither did that. That's okay. And so you can see, and let me just start the very beginning of that, because I like the January one, where it really shows how it's circulating just up in the top left-hand corner for North America. And this is circulating around the planet every 40 days, and this never stops. And so that's so important to understand that the jet streams are real. Good morning, everybody. And thank you, one and all, for paying attention for more than a minute, for not being brain dead, for not being naive and gullible. And Salacious headline, take children away from parents. But isn't that not what we do all the time with our children? We take them to the hospital and we inject nuclear waste into them, and we take our loved ones. They take our loved ones away. The pro-nuclear take our loved ones away from us by injecting nuclear waste into them. And so instead of vaccines, shouldn't we give all kids chemotherapy? Dina, he's just saying, right? The sickness that a child is dying and we bring them to a hospital and we inject them with nuclear waste, that they had to sign a piece of paper, a waiver, because they know the child will die, that only 2% of the people who get chemo live any longer than they would have without the chemo. And they probably never had cancer. They were probably misdiagnosed. And there is that margin of error there, at least, many times over. See? But we know they misdiagnosed breast cancer by about 6 million in North America over the last decade or something. Because these people are insane. The solution to everything since the nuclear industry showed up has been injected with nuclear or bombard them with nuclear. But Dr. Raymond Gilmet, he studies on beagle dogs and beagle puppies for 35 years. He's still doing it. At Loveless Respiratory Research Institute. That don't matter that he's still doing it. No, Dana, that's not a real study. He's only been doing it for 35 years. 94 studies. No, Dana, radiation doesn't kill anybody, but it killed all the dogs. No, it didn't, Dana. Radiation didn't kill dogs. People don't kill dogs with radiation, Dana. You're just making it up, Dana. But that's how people live their lives. Anything that, like, this was him up on saying that Fukushima radiation couldn't get over here because the jet streams weren't real. I'm not kidding you. On KRQE Channel 13 after the accident. Same people shouldn't bother with potassium 40 iodines, K40 rather, because it wasn't going to get there from Fukushima. Like the jet streams are not real or something. But anyway, he done. But this is the same guy done study after study on beagle dogs and beagle puppies that all died. They all died. 144 beagle dogs. What happened to them? See, people don't like the media can't. Nobody can come out and apparently use this narrative at all, ever, under any circumstances, in any of the radio media or stories about Fukushima or nuclear, or radiation leaks in your community, or in your rivers, or radiation dumps. Nobody seems to be able to look at these studies. Well, Dana used it. It's probably not true, but Dana used it. Is that what's going on? But Dr. Raymond Gilman, he's still pulling on those studies on dogs. You don't give a fuck about dogs, obviously, like I don't. $144 dogs, liver, lungs, bone tumors. 1 to 3 years, they're all dead in 4 to 5. Year after year, month after month. Cruel, man, cruel experiments. Well, Dana, there was a study on butterflies, Dina. And everybody's going to refer to that, Dina. Because everybody's stupid. Because everybody's better than you, Dina. All you do is tell the truth, Dana. You're too hard, Dana. You're too rough, Dana. You're too hard around the corner, Dana. You're telling people just the truth, and you're scaring people, Dana, with the truth, Dana. You're confusing people. Like, and see, if you take on making that up, then you don't understand how the world works at all, do you? I'm just going to play a little short clip for you, though, that like a 10-second clip of why you shouldn't GMO label. This is the nitty machine, Dana. These people just nitty you to death, Dana. People would just be confused, Dana, if you tell them the truth, Dana. But that is how they attack you.
One danger that you'd face is we would just become immune to that label. We would accept that it's everywhere. One danger that you'd face is we would just become immune to that label. We would accept that it's everywhere.
Yeah, I had to play that one backwards because I was hoping that we're magic people. Imagine something like that. If you go listen to it, I got to listen to it with the headphones on over and over and over, and that's why I typed in the stuff I did. We're magic people. Yeah, you sure are. Well, if we put labels on it, people just won't care. No, they just won't buy it. They'll be saying, what the fuck is that on our shelf? Why is that everywhere I go on every fucking shelf? It'd be the same way if you found out about nuclear. But parents don't love their children, so they don't learn about nuclear. So therefore, I think they should lose their children. Because they don't love their children if they don't learn about nuclear. If they're going to take when their children get sick, they're going to bring them and get fucking nuclear. If a child gets cancer because they're living within a nuclear power plant, leukemias and all kinds of other stuff, they're going to try to treat them with nuclear. After you sign a piece of paper, you can't hold us accountable, or the nuclear industry, or the atomic agencies. We can't be mass murderers if you're going to be held us accountable. How the fuck did they get in everybody's community, everybody's hospital? Because your parents, pro-nuclear in your community, allowed that to happen. Because they're in your community. Every community is full of these morons. They're pro-nuclear. You can't tell them anything. You can't do anything with them. They're in charge of the nuclear at the hospital. If you fucking take a picture, they'll have you arrested. They'll call the cops to swat your fucking house. They'll lose their fucking minds if you ask them what they're doing to your loved one with that nuclear shit. They'll kidnap your fucking child. Their courts will do it. They'll shoot you to fucking death, grab your child, bring them to the hospital, stick nuclear waste in them, and kill them. You tell me that's not out of control. You tell me that's not fucking barbaric. You tell me these are not demented. You tell me these are not the loathsome part of our society, the most useless, the most maniacal, who got an education to attack you and your friends and your families forever with this nuclear fucking waste pipe fucking dream in everybody's community solving. How can put nuclear waste in somebody solve anything? What do you got terrorist laws for? What are you worried about a dirty bomb for? You morons. Why do you wear those big lead aprons when you get a fucking x-ray? Moron. Take your loved ones to the hospital. They give them chemotherapy. You murderers. And I'm not blaming you. That done it to your own and didn't know any better. How can I blame you for something you didn't know anything about? But that's the absurdity. And I always got to break and make sure people understand that I'm not attacking you personally on a personal level. Attacking that system that coerced you, that told you there was no other option, that told you that was the moral fucking thing to do with the people in communities that are doing that to you. That infrastructure that is so fucking stupid, they would do it to their own children. Well, Timmy, you got cancer because mommy brought all the waste home, not understanding, and gave you a fucking... Now we got to take you and put nuclear waste in you because mommy's a moron, daddy's an idiot. With the best intentions that hurt. And the system is supposed to protect these people from these fucking predators that are known as the nuclear industry, that has infiltrated our academics and our schools to the point where we don't know what they are anymore. We don't know what a university is anymore. They don't even exist. What we got is now public relation firm. Disgusting, public, maniacal relation firms as our professors. These are the most vile people imaginable. You don't understand that either. Let me play another little clip for you.
Catherine, you are one of the world
Just a short couple
experts
of minutes.
in radiation.
But the scariest
We
video
talked about
you'll
that
ever
at
fucking
lunch
watch.
today.
Get a load of this coming up.
When I was trying to pull this talk together, not only will I sort of get a little philosophical about the impacts and the like and try to put things in context, but I also wanted to talk a little bit about who are these radiation experts that get trotted out in events like this or that get to participate in various activities and analysis to make pronouncements about is something safe or not safe. And if you look, you'll see organizations that are often represented. The ICRP, International Commission on Radiological Protection, a premier organization. You'll see UNSCEAR and IRPA. So UNSCEAR is the United Nations Scientific Committee on the Effects of Atomic Radiation. IRPA, the International Radiation Protection Association. The IAEA and some of its folks, the International Atomic Energy Agency. Our own U.S. NCRP. And then there are a number of other organizations. So there's PAHO, there's the Health Physics Society, there's World Health Organization. All of these will bring in, as necessary, experts to speak to you on issues related to radiation protection, radiation safety, and impacts. But if you go a little deeper and you start looking at these organizations, the ICRP, for example, very well known. It's been operating nearly 100 years, not quite. Main commission, 10 people. It's got 5 standing committees. So it's 100-ish folks. I lead one of the 5 committees. If you look at the United Nations Scientific Committee on the Effects of Atomic Radiation that looked at the effects from Chernobyl, from Fukushima, from other areas, and that has about 30, roughly, countries that are represented in that group. If you start teasing through these pictures, you're going to see the same people on every one of those organizations. So the same people from ICRP are on UNSCEAR, they're in IRPA. If you look at the NCRP, again, the U.S. organization that advises the country on radiation protection issues, it's 100 people, a lot of gray-haired 100 people. And most of them are part of UNSCEAR, are part of IRPA, are part of ICRP, participate in IAEA. So the result, or the real world, is that there's not that many folks that really do radiation safety, radionuclide transport, dose calculations, all of this in the world. It's a pretty small club. and we wear 20 hats. Today I put on 3 pins, and I could put on a whole bunch more, but Health Physics Society, ICRP, Certified Health Physicist, I've got NCRP on there, I've done IAEA, and so the point is,
so
we're a small group.
I can barely contain it. Evil, surrounded by evil. She's sitting there with Ted Cook, sitting there with Miles O'Brien, sitting there from a representative from the NRC, and the host of it, the guy who kicked it all off, he is an abomination.
Catherine, you are one of the world experts.
This disgusting maggot. All he was worried about was getting it over with and we go start drinking cocktails. That's all he was thinking about. Let's get everybody here drunk. Let's talk business. Let's talk money. Let's talk kickbacks. That's the press club, right? Okay. Let me. I know. So, to give, in a long story, to give yourself anything nuclear is only because it's been shoved down your throat over and over and over. It's not something that you would have done if you knew the difference, if you even thought there was another narrative. That was deeply hid away from you, and still is, and it's the problem, the reason that happened to you is because your whole life you're told it's like a banana and a potato chip and walking in the sunshine and getting on an airplane, and that these atomic scientists you see in movies and Hollywood and they're coveted in the media as always, oh, nuclear scientists discovered a way to fucking create a sun on the earth that is 100 million billion times hotter than our sun, could create a black hole and kill the whole planet. Probably not though, but they're scientists, so we gotta put our faith into them. We gotta give them everything we got. You take the CHERN where we got 5,000 scientists trying to find out if there's now the news would tell you, oh, they're looking for the God particle. And so everybody's like, oh my God, they're looking for the God particle. What they're trying to figure out is if there's a fifth dimension, if there's another dimension. And they think they can prove it by taking 5,000 scientists and segregating them and burning money like you can't imagine, and creating a police state in that whole area in order to accommodate that, to prove something for scientists that we'll never have any benefit for whatsoever, outside of cruelty and idiocracy, and has no practical relationship for the technology that we got. We have to build this big stupid thing, take our 5,000 scientists, right? And then it's just about studying, hopefully finding a particle that didn't exist and proving a theory when you got so many people. You got endless wars, you got an energy crisis that's unimaginable, that if you took all this power and put it to how do you get more out of solar panels, or how do you get more out of wind turbines, or how do you make a transportation less pollution, if that is really truly the God. Because when you think about 16,000 ships on the ocean, 90,000 ships on the ocean that are container ships carrying around 5,000 transport trucks. Containers, think about it that way. But 16 of those, all of these ships are burning bunker fuel. And so 16 of them in full production, this stuff is supposed to be on a toxic waste site. It's leftover petroleum production. This is the very toxics of the toxics of the petroleum production industry. Is burnt in these container ships that are only about 4%, 8% efficient. So it's the equivalent in carbon dioxide and carbon and everything else of 47 trillion automobiles every day on this planet, the whole 90,000 of them. But 16 of them is equal to all the automobiles on the planet every day. 16, but there's 90,000, actually 94,000, and another 3,500 or so being built. That burns this destructive. The stuff that's supposed to be on a toxic waste site, and is being burnt in these big ships to bring you TVs and iPads and Japanese cars and everything else. And all this consumer nation. And 25% of that is packaging, for goodness sakes. But these container ships are just destructive on their own. They're acidic production machines on their own. And you see some of the big places where there's 10 of these anchored up in front of these communities of 50,000, 25,000, or 1 million people. Now, they're only at full production, I'll jump, but at full production, you talk about pollution. But see, man-made radiation from a chain reaction is worse than every pollution event on this planet combined. We're talking about something that killed the Pacific Ocean. We're talking about something that could abandon a country because of a meltdown. We're talking about something that has the potential of wiping out all life on the planet. Not from a nuclear war. That has been ongoing for 70 years with nuclear power plants that are not there to produce power. They're there to produce directed energy weapons. Isotopes for directed energy weapons. That's what they're up to. And then, because of lasers, that's their future. Pew, pew, pew. How are you going to do that without an amazing energy source? And what out there can compete with the finished product? But, you know, they have to lie that whole step of the way. There's 15,000 abandoned mines. There's around 500,000 in America, North America. Uranium mines, abandoned. With tailing ponds, and just unbelievable. That's because they were getting 400 train cars of iron ore to get a gram of uranium. And the Japanese reactors are 5 million pounds per reactor. But a gram of uranium is a snowstorm, in one sense. But when you're talking about pounds and pounds, when you're talking about consuming rocks and rebar and steel and cement during the chain reaction at 9,000 degree Fahrenheit temperatures, atomizing an aerosol and releasing that into the environment, where just big pieces of metal, you know, tens of thousands of pounds of rocks at a time, a day, falling on these chain reactions. These are worse than nuclear bombs going off. But when you think about nuclear bombs, what was the worst nuclear bombs? Was it taking 1 pound and detonating it above ground where it don't touch the detonation doesn't consume something on the ground? Or when you take a 1 pound, like a Hiroshima bomb, 1 pound, and blow that up on the ground, you're consuming all the rocks. And if it's automobiles or people, you're consuming them. But you're also atomizing them. You're also aerosoling them. And these are ionized and radiated and released. These are from contact with fissionable products. And by proxy, an accident, a meltdown, a leak into the river, a product, if you got something here is radiated and something else right here, it gets irradiated too. But not in the same way as the atoms that are here. It's irradiated from a force. And that's what irradiation is. It's an emitter. It's an element or a particle or an atom with isotopes in it that is able to put out energy. But it does that consistent. This is what makes it important. This is why it's so valuable. But this is also why it's considered a terrorist weapon. And this is why we are supposed to have nuclear waste sites and nuclear sarcophagus to put it into. But we can't do that because nuclear sarcophaguses will have to be vented. The containment has to be vented because of the noble gases, because of the leaching, because of the chain reaction has created all these holes and all these rods. And so it leaches out. After the chain reaction, the element is now 2 million times worse than it was before you put it through there. So once you put it through and the chain reaction starts, before that it's ready to be 2 million or 1 million watts a gram. When it gets in there, it's 1 million watts a gram. But it can only sustain that because it becomes fragile, it becomes brittle. It has this Wigner effect, immediately thrusted up on all the material. And that's why it's put in zirconium cladding. That's why I put in pellets to try to make it last longer and to sustain more, use up less, slower. But the cycle for a nuclear power plant is around 18 months, 2 years tops. It has to go somewhere and there's nowhere to put it. 70 years ago, they said, don't worry about it. We figured everything else out. We'll solve that. They haven't. And that is why Fukushima was so bad. Because on the roof of these buildings, and I'll play you a clip, there was fuel poles. Now, you know the building looks like that. Right? Now, can you imagine, think about that was a 10-story building. What I'm going to show you That's at the top of it. To your left, that's the fuel pool, and to the right is a common pool where they hold fuel. So that you can see the reactor. You see the bottom floor down by the legs, that floor there, that first floor. Well, just to keep you on track, think about Unit 3. Unit 3 totally destroyed. Unit 4, you can see it to the right. And I'll show you another one of Unit 4. Think about how these buildings blew up. It's alright. There it goes. You can see big chunks falling out of the sky. You don't suppose that's Unit 4, Unit 3 reactor. You think about those detonations. You think about the power and that energy. Okay. But apparently, TEPCO says, no, I'm just looking for that other picture for you. Just 1 second. Just to make sure. Here's Unit 1. That's 100% melt down, melt through, melt out. And the top floors where the fuel pools are, they're gone. And the top of the reactor is missing too. This is Unit 2. Now we know from the murons, and I'll show you a video of that in a minute, that reactor core is gone. We don't need murons to see if that reactor core is gone, and the fuel pools that were reactors on the roof are gone that were in the pool. The reactors go in the pool, or the same that's applicable for Unit 4. We know SET faked Unit 4. We know TEPCO's faking Unit 4. We know Miles O'Brien faked Unit 4. We know how that digital deception works, TEPCO. Okay, so Unit 4, I gotta bring that up. I'll just make a copy of that and drag that up here. Once again, and put that right here for the next time we do something like this, and I'll have the picture sitting there. I'll make that mistake again. Okay, here we go. Now here's TEPCO talking recent, about 7 months ago, about what they're going to do to find out if the reactor, where the reactor core is. It's just a short clip.
Removal of this melted fuel is a crucial part of the plant's decommissioning, and a key requirement is to locate the debris inside the reactor. So far, many attempts have been made to understand conditions inside the reactor, but the radiation level is too high for human beings to go inside. To address the issue, TEPCO will use a technology that employs muon cosmic ray particles to capture an image of the reactor's interior. Muons are subatomic.
So this is TEPCO telling you this is what they're going to do to a building that don't exist. No, I'm not making it up. So they're saying they're going to shoot it through a building that's not even there. Right? Unit 3 is not there. Unit 4 is not there. For sure. They're not there. So why are they showing you that? Is the question you need to ask yourself. There's Ian Horst, Lacey, talking about the spent fuel pools at the roof.
Want to get more analysis now because I'm joined again by our guest Ian Hore-Lacy of the World Nuclear Association.
Then it has appeared that the used fuel pools up near the top of the buildings have been depleted of water and overheating.
I gotta laugh, I'm sorry. The fuel pools over the buildings have been ran out of water. But that's what they look like, see, when he said that. Do you get the lie, right? How many of them come out and done it to you? So I think they should take kids away from pro-nuclear parents and give them the TEPCO. And then TEPCO will raise them up and take care of them. And they can help manage the 6 million that they're going to sacrifice to go through Fukushima to try to get those reactor cores out. That's why nuclear is nothing but a tragedy. Nuclear is nothing but hell on earth. Nuclear is an abomination that we injected into our loved ones, into our environment, into our communities, and it's all based upon lie after lie after lie, like Kathleen Higley was telling you earlier. Who's just a disgusting, maniacal liar, unbelievable liar who lies constantly. Kevin Blanche will tell you he's been hounding her for 15 years or something. But like, man, she's disgusting. Kathleen Higley and that whole crew, Miles O'Brien, Seth Dorn, TEPCO, the press club, the people who managed that, who allowed that to happen, who insist that only people like that have access, because you got to be an accredited journalist to sit there in the audience and yuck it up like that. Yeah? Just the wealthy, they're sitting there with their cocktails. Oh, jeez, Charlie, that was a good one. The slaves might revolt if we put that out there. Yeah, they're going to revolt already. Their loved ones are going to turn against them, and are. Good morning, everybody. I'm scanning. So, none of it matters anymore. What Australia forecasts, it doesn't matter, all of that. No. No. The forecasts from different institutions worldwide don't matter. Miles O'Brien or Seth Dorn, and TEPCO. I mean, simply put, we done the whole coastline of Canada. We went out on a dinghy on the whole coastline of Canada, and what we done was we showed over 260 days. It's all up at the nuclearproctologist.org. And instead of being in what is normally throughout the whole coastline notorious, British Columbia, Canada, where everything is hunky-dory and just wonder bars and amazing, incredible. Instead of that, it was naked. Everything was shocking. Less than 100 species throughout the coastline. But this spot here, Louise Gnarls, see, that spot is one of the most coveted places on the planet, bar nothing. One of the most amazing spots. One of the, it used to look like that, and that, of course, and this, and it's inconceivable that we're everything. I dove this coastline and the east coast of Canada for over 14,000 hours. I ran over a dozen dive shows on this one, dive vessels. We got just this smorgasbord that was life, this amazing, incredible, inconceivable tidal zones is what I'm talking about. Diversity that is well documented, well known, well understood. And like I say, I've worked this coastline for years and years, and this is what I'm used to seeing everywhere I go. This is normal, not that, not this and not that. And that was all up at Louise Gnarls. I put over 2,000 of those pictures up at the nuclearproctologist.org. But I took my time, and I spent 260 days. 260 days, up to 5 months, 160 days without coming home. And so who are you going to believe? You're going to go to my site and look at all the documentation of the whole coastline where all the 6,500 species, and say, hey, wait a second, you know, Dana's not some random person, I am. In one context, I guess we're funded by people from all over the world, and I was the random person they chose to go out and look at the whole coastline and document it and put it up at the website, and then come, you know, that's, what more could you expect out of anybody to go out and do what I've done? What more? I've done it. I gave you more every time, every step of the way too. You know, I stood up, and that has what got me in a lot of trouble, got me attacked in the mainstream media, demonized and vilified, accused of things I didn't do, with no substance, based upon a soundbite that wasn't even taken down with a court order. It was taken down by ghost accounts, spam accounts, the same day I was in jail for 12 hours. in that period, that video got knocked, 2 videos I'm charged with got knocked down by ghost accounts, not by court orders. But I did get a court order to take down 300 other videos in that 24-hour period. So why would they knock down those 2 videos? What? Why? With ghost accounts? How could that be a coincidental? And why didn't they have a court order to take those down? And, right? Does that not sound logical? And why did the media accuse me of death threats? Because they knocked the videos down that showed I didn't do that with ghost accounts the day I was in jail. And then come out in the media and accused me of uttering death threats, and then had video mashes of not even the videos we're talking about, of other things taken completely out of context, but alleged to be what I said when the original videos got knocked down by ghost counts, not 5 months ago, 6 months ago now. And so we got to go to court this year over this nonsense where the judge says I can't use bananas and potato chips and walking in the sunshine, exact words, as a defense, because the science is settled. And then after many arguments, the judge finally asked the prosecutor what I was charged with. Like, the world is so stupid. These people are so fucking corrupt. They don't even have a thought in their own head of, it's just pure evil sitting at the bench. That was pure evil. It was pure evil. The scientists in Canada, the University of Victoria in British Columbia, Canada, that had me charged, and Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, marine chemists who had me charged. These people are borderline monsters, not borderline, but they're monsters in every aspect of the word. And the institutions that hosted them are disgusting monsters, pathetic, demented mass murder and freaks of nature who allowed these people to operate out of their institutions, to tell people it's like a banana. Oh, there's a lot more natural radiation in the ocean than there is for Fukushima. So shut up. Routine for almost 5 years till we outed them. We outed those people, see? And they had me criminally charged to try to silence me, but didn't have a real case. They had tried 2 times a year before to get me arrested because I was going on the expedition. And the same week we were ready to leave, they had tried to get us arrested again because we called them lawyers. Because we showed the video of them lying. They were taken down by ghost accounts the same day I'm in jail. Months or even year after I posted them. How big coincidence? That's okay. The documentation is up at the nuclear proctologist for people with common sense, where people are able to appreciate the academics and scientists and journalists to say, hey, wait a second, need a marine biologist to explain where all the life went and why the 4 million other species didn't receive the coastline. See, a nuclear is just evil by any definition you throw at it. It's twisted and demented and out of touch with every bit of reality imaginable. Oh, it's like a banana, it's like a potato chip, like walking in the sunshine, like sleeping next to somebody. You get more radiation from a chest x-ray data. You can get more radiation by flying across the country data. And this is what the experts on IRPA and UNSCLEAR and United Nations and everybody else, they're the same people. And that's what they're going to tell your loved ones and your friends and your families and the media and the policy holders to do. They are the fucking worst thing imaginable. They are totally out of control. These are teaching in your universities, for Christ's sakes. At what point are you going to make a stand? At what point are they going to get outed? It can never be done by the media. The media will never out them. The media put them up there all the time and never fact-checked them a single time. Never had another narrative a single time. They don't have nuclear debate unless they have a patsy there to fuck over everybody else with. Just a straw man. What they always do, though, is a panel of experts. We're a panel of experts. And if you go look at what they say, you chop out every time you say bananas or natural or background. The minute someone said background, They destroyed their narrative, everything else they're ever going to say for the rest of their life. The minute they keep doing that, there's 2 or 3 times more background, so it's not too bad. Then that's a fucking idiot. If they're an expert and they got an education, then that's a murderer. If they know better, if they've been at this a long time, that's a murderer. That's a person who's doing it on purpose. The people talking millisievers and unisievers are either stupid, morons, useless to the cause, because you're talking Becquerels, you're talking atomic decays, you're talking atoms, because every atom could be different that you got that you're ingesting, and that's important to understand the difference in the principles and the properties and the consequences of each of those atoms. Ones that act like potassium, ones that act like cesium, or ones that are cesium, say, which is ones that act like potassium. The strontiums will act like. But gammas and betas and alphas is how we think. But what we got to think about is X-rays and neutrons. And we got to think about the X-rays and neutrons because that's how this works. The chain reaction that they were going through at the time of the accident, the material was mixed oxide fuel. This is 2 billion times worse than anything we've seen before. And it's millions times worse than any reactor currently on the planet, if that was to go, a single reactor was. Because it used stuff that was reclaimed from missiles and silos in the Cold War era. Had already went through a chain reaction, it was already 2 million times worse, now it was going through a chain reaction again. And this is illegal under the so-called Constitution or the Bill of Rights or the democratic country that Japan claims it is. By the way, 49% can lose all their freedom because 51% is stupid. It's supposed to be a republic where everybody is equal to their freedom and everybody's freedom is protected and everybody respects each other's freedom and everybody helps protect each other's freedom and mediates, define lines accordingly. Not some people with magic wands telling you that it's like a banana or a potato chip or walking in the sunshine or getting on an airplane. The people that do that got an education are bald-faced lying to you. They're spitting in your face as they're doing it. That's how a nuclear scientist spits in your face, is they say it's like a banana. That's how a nuclear apologist spits in your face, they say it's like natural radiation. There's more natural radiation than there is from Fukushima. That's kicking you in the face. That's murdering your children and your friends and your families on purpose. Because they know better. They know exactly what they're saying to keep you stupid. Because they know that's all you've been told. And you won't know the difference unless you can get to find people you can talk to, people that's talking about it. And there's no one out there telling you that. There's no one out there driving that home all the time. Anywhere in the media. Anywhere whatsoever. They're articulating it. Constantly reminding people, educating people, encouraging people that the nuclear industry is out of control because you abrogated all your responsibilities by pretending that you don't have responsibilities. But if you look at your constitutions, your Magna Cartas, your Bill of Rights, you have those responsibilities. You're obligated as your obligation under those charters, under those Magna Cartas, to hold your system accountable. That's why you used to have a militia. Militia was so you can replace corrupt government officials in your district and prosecute them properly for crimes they committed immediately. And then to replace them with somebody in the community that was trustworthy, until you can hire somebody else that was trustworthy also to administrate that job better and not to be stealing from the community, not to be wasting the community's money, and not to be benefiting outside of their job. And that is every single government office is doing that to the point where they're completely out of control, where they're sucking the countries dry. Where a democratic country means your government is going to eat everything, your pensions, your medical, your benefits. They're going to eat everything for them and themselves. They're going to steal it right out of the offices. They're going to take the gas cards and fill up their loved ones' vehicles. They're completely fucking out of control. And they went and got the job so they can get that position, to do that. And they got the job because they knew they would do that. Because that's who they hire, the most corrupt, because they won't give it up. Even if it wrecks the entire country, oh, well, we can always loot their pension for our pension. We'll take care of our own. Fuck them. And they just have this entitlement. They're not there to serve you, ever, under any circumstances in your governments. They're there to monitor you like they're doing with me all the time. They actually have this arrogance. They think that they should sit there and monitor someone like me, or anybody else for that matter. And they think they have the moral fucking high ground to do that somehow. And they think because they can bring a military with them, or an armed forces with them, or police with them with weapons, that they can justify what they're doing. Because they can bring some kind of backup system with them to protect them. From the people who won't take it from them, from the people that if they try to do it to in their own personal life, would knock them fucking face first down on the ground. Whose own brothers and own sisters probably wouldn't have nothing to do with them. Who are rejects of society. Who think that they can power trip by coercing people in communities to restrict people's activities as some kind of freaky social experiments. They injected 800 pregnant women with uranium, plutonium, cesium, curium while they were pregnant at major institutions, for Christ's sakes. It's just one experiment. And when the children died, the babies were born deformed. They took the babies, they took samples, but they also dug up the children when they died of leukemias without the parents' consent. Then they grind up their bones, burn it up, and then try to find out how much plutonium, uranium, or other isotopes was in them. Demented. Demented. Out of control. There's nothing worse than the media backing up an industry that is out of control. But nuclear is vicious. If you live within a nuclear power plant, you're going to get a cancer. You're 6 times more likely in a short period to get breast cancer. You're 22% more likely to have a baby or a child with leukemia, even if you move away. When the kid's a year old, you're still likely to end up with a kid. Don't matter that that matters that you lived there for a period of time. You even visit it. Even driving past a nuclear power plant is fucking dangerous because they store all their nuclear waste on the site because they don't got nowhere to fucking put it. So it's leaching all the time. It's supposed to be somewhere else, it's supposed to be a Yukon mountain, but if you put it all in the same spot, something goes wrong, you can't get in there, you lose the fucking planet. You can lose the fucking planet from a single reactor. That's why Chernobyl was so fucking terrifying. 1/3 the size of any reactor on the planet. 30% meltdown. Stopped after 10 fucking days. Still can't drink the milk. Eat the meat. In Ireland, Scotland, UK. Certain parts of it you can't sell the land either. Switzerland just opened up its fresh water, still closed its reindeer. Latvia, you still can't eat the reindeer fucking meat because of Chernobyl. Chernobyl was nothing. 600 miles inshore. Oh, Dana, 128 people died at Chernobyl, Dana. No way, I was picking at Chernobyl, Dana. You fucking big bully. Dana's not just bashing nuclear. Nuclear's never killed anybody, Dana. You're just a fuck. I come from a rich family, Dana. I come from a wealthy background, Dana. I speak perfect English, Dana.
It was heroism.
During this operation, 600 pilots are fatally contaminated with radiation. All of them will die. But their efforts only buy a few days. Although it has been covered over, the fire still isn't out.
Yeah, it's okay, Dana. That happened over there, Dana. But United Nations say he's lying, Dana, because United Nations and UNSCLEAR and IRPA and the IAEA and Kathleen Higley and John Boyce and Miles O'Brien says only 28 people fucking died. Who are we going to believe, Dana? They're sitting professors and journalists, Dana. You're showing us is documentation. You're not a scientist, Dana, so why should I believe you? Ouija's source, Dana. There's nothing but sources coming at you the whole fucking stream. Source. You don't believe me? You should have your fucking children taken away from you. You should be sent to Fukushima for re-education. Right to the Daiichi military industrial complexes, number 3 reactor. Get the fuck in there. Shut up. Get the fuck in there and clean up something. I'm watching you from a mile away with a high-powered camera. You be good or make you go into number 3 reactor. No, man, I don't want to go to number 3 reactor. Don't make me do it, man. I'll do anything. I'll push that homeless guy in there for you. That's what we should do with anybody pro-nuclear. Immediately confiscate all their wealth, all their properties. Take their children and give them the TEPCO. Immediately. And every child give TEPCO another $1 million. That's all you need to raise the child, because you'll die from the radiation. We can use their children to test concoctions to kill radiation with. Fill them up with radiation to see if we can save their children. We should do that with nuclear scientists and people like that. Take their children right away. Burn them at the stake legally. Couple of hillbillies want to burn a few, you go right ahead. Just saying. Can't stop a hillbilly from burning. I just see that, and that was me mimicking a movie. That's all that was. I wasn't saying burn them. I mean, Dana's calling for burning nuclear scientists. See the headlines. Okay, there you go. It don't matter, Chernobyl. That's Chernobyl's map there. Yeah, it was only 1/3 the size of any of the reactors in Japan. 30% meltdown. Stopped after 10 days. With a little plume right across the North American continents. You did it. It was only done. It stopped after 8 days, Dana. You should have your child taken away from you. You should have your ability to fucking read taken away from you. You don't deserve anything. You deserve the fact that they're looting your pension and that they're murdering you and your loved ones. Like, see, I can't really say that either. I can't say that about anybody. That's the only flaw I got, because I actually care about them too. It's a flaw I'll live with, I guess. Hugs for everybody. Hugs, hugs, and more hugs. And what can I say? Some days they're diamonds. Some days I'm sucking up radiation. We're down to 106, 130. 130 counts. 114 counts per minute. 123. I don't know if you can see anything. 150 counts a minute. It's I seen it hit about 280 this morning. It's back and forth. See, like I say, it drops down to even like 70, but it'll go back up to a couple of hundred usually. Just hang on for a second. So 55 is an evacuation zone at a power plant, pre-Fukushima. And 5 becquerels is the limit for Germany for your food. And we're looking at well over 55 anyway, right? That's how I look at it. If it's over 55, it can drop to 70, but it can also go up to 300. They can do that in the span of a minute or something. I'm checking all through my house all the time anyway. My vehicle included. I've got no choice with the job that I do. They're going to kill me at some point. But I'm going to try to do as much misery back before they get at me. Hugs for everybody. See everybody tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Good day, Pam. Starlight, Alex, Elaine, Candace, Amthurst, Alex, Thomas, Radical. We'll see Kevin Blanche. Hi, bud. Take care, folks. Too bad. And we'll catch everybody after. See you tomorrow, folks.